Hey there folks, and welcome to this video. Today's date is March 8th, 2021, which is International Women's Day. Back in history, I believe that the protests in 1917 for International Women's Day were the thing that was seen as kickstarting the Russian Revolution. And it's a good time to sit down and look around and look at gender inequality and think about how many kind of improvements have been made, but how much further we still have to go. Because as much as we talk about the world being a better place to where it is like 100 years ago or something, it's still worth pointing out that there's a lot more left to do. Now, of course, this channel is largely around motorsport, and last year I talked about it through a frame of motorsport, talking about people who I thought were personally quite iconic growing up, like the likes of Michelle Mouton, who really should have been a World Rally Champion. She's, for me, one of the biggest icons for women in motorsport. But also in the past year, we've seen things like the Richard Mille team going through the ELMS and going into the WEC this season, which is the likes of Tatiana Calderon, Beitzke Visser, and Sophia Flörsch. Also been Catherine Legg has also been involved in that, and that's really cool. I believe they have the #1 entry for Le Mans this year, which that's going to be quite nice. But yeah, that's the kind of way to see things moving forward, and that's always something that's great to see. But at the same time, there is still so much more that needs to be done. The W Series is still growing in notoriety, but in terms of the kind of prizing that's given out, it's not enough to be able to fund a competitive season in FIA F3. It's hard for women to be able to climb up the ladder in motorsport, even with that step up that the W Series gives. And even then, it raises some of the uncomfortable discussions. Emma Cayman-Linen, one of the drivers, was talking about how she was offered a drive. I think this is almost 10 years ago now, but as one of the conditions, she'd had to do something like a topless photo shoot. She rejected the drive. I think somebody else took it in the end. But like, one of the problems that comes to me personally is I'm a cis man. These are experiences that I'm never going to have to deal with. And that's a point of privilege. I don't have to deal with that kind of uncomfortableness because the way the world is, cis man is seen as almost the norm. I mean, heck, like on a driver's license here in the UK, Mr. doesn't come up as a title, but Miss and Mrs. do. Think about that kind of thing. But in addition to this, we've seen some of the worst treatment for women, just not only just online throughout the pandemic, but women in motorsport as well have been having such a tough time. Like, you see some of the more established names in motorsport, be it like Motorsport Press or otherwise, just being horrible to, in particular, young women online. And can't even get me started talking about the kind of transphobia that trans women end up facing. It's just absolutely horrible. And that's one of the things that we need to bear in mind. Like, especially if, like me, you're a cis man. That these are the experiences we're gonna have to deal with, because we're not women and we identify as man and we were assigned male at birth. In addition to that, there's also the struggles that non-binary and otherwise gender non-conforming folks suffer with as well, and it's again experiences that I, as a cis man, will likely never encounter. And that's something that we've got to think about. And I'll end off by talking about one of the big places we need to improve. And I think it goes without saying that one of the worst kind of instances of somebody in motorsport around women in the past year was a certain soon to be rookie F1 driver. And in a now infamous incident in which he groped a woman, the victim of it never got given any kind of profile from it. Like, I'm not saying any kind of reputation or anything like that, but name was withheld, all kind of agency, which is like the woman. And think about that. You don't see that happening to men. You just don't. And as much as we could talk about things like confidentiality and people wanting to not be in the limelight for these horrible things that they've encountered and then being posted online, we also have to recognize that you're talking about a young woman who was deprived of agency after something so horrid. The world has started to become a more equal place. But in 2021, we're seeing articles from the likes of, I think it's Scottish Widows, who are saying that the average woman is likely to be up to 100 grand worse off in pensions compared to a man. That's women who are my age, who are working now. That's people in their early 20s. And it's not getting any better. We need to bear that in mind. We need to be better and do better, and that wasn't the message of 2020, it's the message of 2021. Thanks for watching, and I'll link you some of the stuff down below that I did before, but also kind of long list of women who do things like content creation or are in and around motorsport or things like the W series. Go and support them. Thank you for watching.